Welcome back to Stab the Dragon Productions for episode number 250 as we continue our Canadian Whiskey Tournament Level 2. Coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas on Wednesday, February 25th, 2026, where it got up to 83 degrees today. Now, a year ago, I conducted a Canadian whiskey tournament with the 5 most basic popular blends, and Canadian Club 1858 won that tournament. This year, I've tasted Seagram's VO Black and Gold. There. And Gold won that family feud. But then I also went to Black Velvet and did the regular Black Velvet versus the Reserve 8-year-old here. And surprisingly enough, regular Black Velvet won that competition. And then we did Canadian Club Rye, Canadian Club 9-year, and Canadian Club 12. And the 12 won the competition. Now we're in the championship round, and VO Gold beat out Black Velvet, and then Canadian Club 12 beat Black Velvet. So now, of course, we have to have the championship here, maybe. And this is VO Gold versus Canadian Club 12. So that's what we'll be looking at tonight. The rules. I compare the review notes for these two whiskeys to see which way the competition leans, but the winner is determined by nose, taste, mouthfeel, burn, and finish. And in case of a tie, price, value, and availability can be the tiebreaker. The match is conducted with blacked out glasses here. The Canadian Club 12 is in glass number 1 on the bottom of the glass. VO Gold is glass number 2. Now, I've mixed these up. I really don't know which is which. You'll be able to see the numbers when I tip them over to drink. All right, just for fun, I do try to guess which whiskey is in which glass at the end, and sometimes the winner gets a cocktail. So first of all, for history, Canadian Club as a brand stretches back to Hiram Walker and Detroit in 1858, and then he moved across the river to Ontario due to some pre-prohibition laws in Detroit. The 12-year-old was released maybe in 1984. One source said that, but a couple of other sources point to the 1970s, and I've actually seen a picture of a bottle of this from the 1977 year, I think. Although I can say that this bottle is considerably darker than that bottle. So it has changed through the years. This brand is currently owned by Pernod Ricard. Seagram's can be dated back to 1857 in Waterloo, Ontario. And a man by the name of Hespeler started the company. But Joseph Seagram took over the company by 1883. Seagram's VO was released in honor of Seagram's son's wedding. 1911, 1913, 1917, those are the 3 dates that I've received in my studies. Date is possibly, most evidence points to 1913, so maybe so. But Seagram's VO Gold was not released until 1998. And nobody knows what the VO stands for. Very own, very old, who knows? I think in this competition, Canadian Club 12 has got the edge in history for the win. Bottle, label, and marketing. Well, you can look at these bottles, and the Canadian Club 12 is in a fairly plain, straightforward, round, straight-sided bottle. They both have twist-off caps, but the VO is in a little bit more of a fancy bottle and a fancier label. So I'm going to give bottle and label to the VO. Now, marketing is a little bit different story. I found very few reviews for either of these. I did find one documentary type story from Seattle from about, 12 years ago or so, for a local news station in Seattle that had some kind of a fundraiser featuring VO Gold. For Canadian Club 12, I found one commercial again from 10 to 12 years ago that was pretty good. But all together, I'm going to say the VO Gold wins for bottle, label, and marketing. appearance, you can see how much darker the Canadian Club 12 is than the VO Gold. So that's significantly. And really, this bottle looks darker than the previous bottle I had. So maybe they got their food coloring out of line. I don't know. So appearance, I'm going to say Canadian Club 12 for the win. It's darker. I prefer darker whiskeys. Composition, though, all I can find is some general information. I mean, Canadian Club 12 has got corn rye, malted barley. But for this whiskey, they use, one source said they used more malted barley than their other editions. And then this one is aged for 12 years. And I even went down into the barrel treatment they got. They used more ex-bourbon casks than previously with the other editions. And they recharred some of the barrels. So, maybe that's where some of this darkness comes from. And also Canadian Club does what Black Velvet does. They blend before aging. This is an 80 proof whiskey. VO Gold is also 80 proof and is aged for 8 years, right there on the label. But I could find no real mash bill, though it's probably about the same: corn, rye, malted barley, but it's just a general idea. So advantage, I think, for composition goes to the Canadian Club 12. Versatility. I really do like both of these. Neat. And I do think the Canadian Club 12 holds up better to cocktails. They're at 80 proof. I wouldn't put either of these under ice except in a cocktail. So you can do what you want. I've used the VO Gold in ginger ale and 7-Up, and I've used the Canadian Club 12 in old fashions. Advantage, I think, to Canadian Club 12. Price, value, and availability. Canadian Club 12 is available for about $20 at all 3 of the major big box stores that I frequent here in Fort Worth. But VO Gold is about $5 more at $25 for $7.50. And one of the 3 stores didn't have this in a $7.50. They had it in a $1.75. So just a little bit less flexibility on their availability. So I'm going to give price, value, and availability to the Canadian Club 12. And again, of all these Canadian whiskeys, emotionally, I think this is my favorite. I think taste-wise, it hits my profile the best. But on head-to-head competition, I mean, it almost tied or lost to Black Velvet yesterday. And so this competition is very tight, and a little bit of luck is involved, I think. I mean, if I did this competition on a different day, I might get different results. That's how close some of these are. Plus, my palate is rather not trained. I don't know. Bonus points. In my reviews of these 2 whiskeys, I did give 5 bonus points to Canadian Club 12 and only 4 to the VO Gold. So, again, I tend to lean towards the Canadian Club, and that's just me. All right, let's get to the whiskeys themselves. And I'm going to start left to right, not knowing which is which, with nosing. Faint nose. A little bit of whiskey sweetness. Some hints of vanilla and maple. Maybe a little bit of wood there coming across as leather. But, faint nose, but doable. One on the right. I got multiple problems with nosing. A, my nose is insufficient. But B, whenever I nose 2 whiskeys, the first one comes across as a bigger nose, stronger. Second one, I hardly get anything, and it's just always that's how it works. So there's not a whole lot of difference in the noses. I'm going to say the first one wins the nose. So the one on the left has a little bit more of a nose than the one on the right, which means I'll start tasting with the one on the right. And that's just usually what I do, is the weaker nose gets tasted first. Some corn sweetness, hints of maple. Very little wood. It's got a nice mouthfeel and burn. A little bit more burn than I remember. And I'm a guy who likes burn too. A whiskey that's too smooth can be a little touch on the boring side for me. I like a little bit of a burn, and this offers it. If I had to guess right away, I think that's glass number 2. I think that's the VO Gold, but that's just a preliminary guess. And I just finished eating not long ago, so had a little bit of spicy food. Not real spicy, but enough to throw my palate off, maybe. All right, let's go to the one on the left. This one had the stronger nose. Wait a minute. All right. That one is definitely smoother. A little bit more of a mouthfeel perhaps, but there's no burn at all. And it seems like the finish, I'm getting a lot of wood on the finish, as well as the maple, leather. So this one's got a lot going on, but it doesn't have quite the burn that the first one had. This one could be considered deeper, richer. The first one was kind of bright and shiny and bold. Again, if I had to guess, I'm saying that's glass number 1, Canadian Club. But I don't know. This is going to be difficult because there's enough difference between these two to where I can legitimately say I like one on Monday and the other one on Tuesday. So I'm just not sure. I think the one on the left has got the smoother mouthfeel, richer mouthfeel, better finish. Its flavors, it's not quite as sweet. Its flavors lie more in the leather, wood, tobacco. In that realm, darker fruits maybe. Its finish is lasting fairly long. Now let's go back to the one on the right. Definitely more corn forward. Yeah, this has really got a lot of corn to it. It's almost like a corn whiskey. So I'm real sure that's number 2, glass number 2. The Seagram's Gold. So which one? I like both of them, but I think I have a slight preference to the one on the left. The one on the right, where it stands out, is the burn. And the burn, you know, the burn's not obnoxious. It's not bad. It's a very pleasant burn. I like that. But the one on the left has got the better mouthfeel and finish. The taste, I mean, apples and oranges. You know, they're both good. One on the left had the better nose. So for the winner, I'm going to say the one on the left is what I think is the better whiskey, is the one that I would prefer the most. And for which is which, I think this is going to be glass number 1, Canadian Club. If it's not, I'll be thoroughly embarrassed. I am thoroughly embarrassed. That is glass number 2. Wow. No way. That is amazing. I can't guess these things right to save my soul. All right. Well, I just gave Seagram's VO Gold the win. How about that? That is a total and complete shock. Wow. The one on the right, I thought sure, I was 100% sure that was VO Gold. That's astounding. Huh. All right. We've got a winner. That's why you do these things blind. Is, you know, you can trick yourself. You can think you know which one is which and choose and end up being surprised. So VO Gold ends up being the winner. That's just amazing to me, because I came in here and I thought the Canadian Club 12 was going to be the clear winner. And get down to the nitty gritty. Nope. Nope. All right. Do I want to give it a cocktail? At this point, I guess I should. I've never done an old fashioned with the VO Gold, so stand by. And I'm back with an old fashioned made from VO Gold. I've got a couple of small orange peels in there. I've got a Luxardo cherry, a little bit of maple syrup, but not much. I don't like a real super sweet old fashioned. And then for bitters, I used Turkish tobacco bitters and Aztec chocolate bitters. So VO Gold is the winner. It gets a cocktail. Cheers. And that is very good. Definitely. So that is the first old fashioned that I've made using VO Gold. All the other cocktails I've used involved ginger ale or 7-Up, maybe Sprite. Something, you know, just a simple mixed drink like that. But here we go with the cocktail, and it is actually quite good. So we have a winner, we have a runner-up, and then we have the winner. But wait a minute, I'm getting some complaints from the back of the room here. VO Black, which lost gold, but it did beat the regular VO. Black is complaining that they've been left out. They didn't get a good enough chance. And Black Velvet 8-year reserve is really complaining, crying foul that regular Black Velvet beat it. So we're going to have to do a loser's consolation round, I think. At least between these two. I may get the Canadian Club 9 in there as well, or something, but we need to have a little bit more Canadian competition going on. So that'll be next time. But for now, this is the winner. Cheers.